Our next storyteller is the fabulous set designer, Jody Vaclav.
Well, I work in Hollywood, probably like most of you people here, in what we call the industry. And it's so exciting, isn't it? I walk onto a movie lot every morning. I see movie stars on a regular basis, and I love working with all the people behind the cameras. For the last 15 years, I've been the assistant art director and set designer for Wheel of Fortune. I know, right? It's a great gig. My life is great. I live here in Southern California. I've got a condo next to the ocean, and I love what I do for a living. But that is, as they say out here, the end credits. Getting there has been quite a journey. I grew up in Colorado, surrounded by mountains and cowboys and lots of family. I remember growing up watching shows like I Love Lucy, Father Knows Best, The Donna Reed Show. Well, I'm a lot older than I look. But when Wheel came on the air, my family got together again to watch. Never just dreaming that I would ever work for the show. And even though I suck at the puzzles, I really do, I suck at the puzzles. I love the wheel. With a spin of the wheel, every spin, everything could change. You could win a little, or you could win a lot. You could land on jackpot, or you can get bankrupt. Somewhat like life. When the wheel of life spins, you never know where you're going to end up. Well, in my life, God has seen fit to put me in the right place at the right time, well, mostly. But I've got to say, he's got quite a sense of humor. Some of the things I've done and some of the adventures, amazing. I was a power engineer for public utilities. I was a log home contractor. I worked for a mental hospital doing research on schizophrenics. I even worked for an electric boat company before I landed where I am today. Clear, easy progression? Nothing in my life has been an easy progression. I grew up searching. Like most everyone does when they're young, searching for themselves. Well, I always knew who I was, but I always kept it a secret. And so I kept searching for a way to live in this world, keeping a deep, dark secret inside. Well, you can only do that for so long before those inner voices become louder and louder and louder until you just can't stand it anymore. And my voices would comment on every person that I would see. Look at her. Why can't I be like her? Look how beautiful she is. Look how lovingly her boyfriend holds her hand. Why can't I have that? Well, I knew that I had to talk to someone and tell my secret out loud. And so in the fall of 1990, I realized that I could no longer hide who I was. And so I started down a road at that time very few had traveled. So after years of therapy and detective work trying to find someone who could even help me, I underwent genital sex reassignment surgery. I changed my sex. And from that moment on, I was a woman, free to be who I was all my life. I was so naive. I thought that since I was talented, had a great resume, and generally liked by most of the people I'd ever met, that life would continue as normal. Boy, did I have a rude awakening. Well, let me make this a little clearer for you. I was never gay. I was never a drag queen. I wasn't even into fashion of any sort. I can remember jeans and a t-shirt, work boots and a ball cap were my fare in life. So putting that lineman, construction worker, good old boy into a dress, well, people noticed. And most of the time it was something that they did not like. I was constantly commented on wherever I went. people hollering at me on the streets, spitting on me. Life was not easy. I was even evicted from where I was living. Oh, I fought that in court. But at the time, the judge told me that it was legal to discriminate against transsexuals in California. I remember one time going to a restaurant with a friend of mine, and I got to the door, and the maitre d' looked at me up and down, and looked around and said, well, the restaurant's closed for a private party, which clearly it wasn't. That happened a lot. It wasn't easy. And at the time, I had very few friends. My family had abandoned me, and I had literally nowhere to turn. The job market wasn't any better. I went on over 200 job interviews before I landed a job by a friend of mine. He gave me a job as a receptionist. He had a television lighting and concert business. And he hired me as their receptionist. Well, that business had never had a receptionist before. But the work kept me busy. And little by little, I started getting my reputation back as an asset to anyone's business. And I started feeling a little less self-conscious about every word and action and outfit that I would wear. I remember one time, my friends told me that I was starting to look like a housewife from Iowa. Well, that was great. I look like a housewife from Iowa. They didn't get it. Oh, it was amazing. One day, one of the lighting designers was the LD on the 3 top television shows at the time: Entertainment Tonight, Jeopardy, and Wheel of Fortune. Well, he asked me if I'd like to take on some extra work doing some drafting for Wheel of Fortune. And that wheel spun again and put me in front of my friend Renee, a woman that I met and became a big part of my life. Gosh, I remember one day I was sitting at my desk, and there was something I was doing. I was very busy. A man came in and asked for one of the designers. And I told him, I said, well, I barely looked up from my desk, and I said, well, he was on a conference call, and he'd be with him for a little bit. And I asked him what his name was so that I could pass him a note to tell him who was waiting. And he said, well, my friends call me Ringo. Oh my God. I looked up, there he was. And I said, well, I'm just about to get a cup of tea. Would you like one while you wait? And he said, oh, that would be lovely. Lovely. Well, one part of my mind started working, and like it never really does. And I said, Mr. Starr, I've been told that your son is quite the drummer. And he lit up like a light bulb. And he was such a proud father. And so when the designer was done, he came out and said, oh, Ringo, I'm ready to see you now. And Ringo looked up and he says, I'll be in to see you in a little bit. I'm having tea with Jody. He didn't see a freak or someone to shun. All he saw was a kind woman who asked him about his son. And from that moment on, I knew all I had to be is myself. And if I'd be that, I'd never have to worry again. Thank you.